Welcome back to 10-Minute Prophecy. We hope that you have learned a lot so far. We are going to continue on our journey through Daniel chapter 7. Also, if you don't know the methods of interpreting Bible prophecy, please watch the introduction video to gain a foundation on how to study Bible prophecy. So, last time we had just been introduced to the little horn power, the judgment scene, and the destruction of the beast. Let's continue on in our journey and figure out who the little horn power is and what is to come in the future. In Daniel chapter 7, verses 13 and 14, we find this. I saw in the night visions, and behold, there came with the clouds of heaven one like unto a son of man, and he came even to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. And there was given him dominion and glory, and a kingdom that all the peoples, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. The scene here is not the second coming, but rather before the second coming, because the Son of Man, who is Jesus, comes to the Father, the Ancient of Days, and the Father gives Jesus dominion and glory, and a kingdom is given to him. After this vision, let us look at verses 15 to 18. As for me, Daniel, my spirit was grieved in the midst of my body, and the visions of my head troubled me. I came near unto one of them that stood by, and asked him the truth concerning all this. So he told me and made me know the interpretation of the things. These great beasts which are four kings that shall arise out of the earth. But the saints of the Most High shall receive the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. We find that Daniel is troubled by the prophecy and asks to be shown the interpretation. The interpretation begins with identifying the beasts as great kingdoms. Then a promise is given to those who follow God that the kingdom of Christ will be given to them. Moving on to verses 19 and 20. Then I desired to know the truth concerning the fourth beast, which was diverse from all of them, exceeding terrible, whose teeth were of iron, and its nails of brass, which devoured, brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with its feet, and concerning the 10 horns that were on its head, and the other horn which came up, and before which 3 fell, even that horn that had eyes, and a mouth that spake great things, whose look was more stout than its fellows. Notice that Daniel focuses on the fourth beast, which has no representation from an earthly animal. The Bible says that it's different from any that came before, and Daniel was surprised by it. The description that we found previously is now repeated again. This kingdom is fierce and has iron teeth, nails of brass, devours, breaks in pieces, and stamps the residue as a conquering power. As we discussed previously, we know that this is the Roman Empire. Then the 10 horns which come up on the beast grow together. We know that in Western Rome 10 separate kingdoms were established between 351 AD to 476 AD. After this, an additional horn, which starts out small, comes up and roots up the other horns, and it has eyes and a mouth, and is stronger than the others, and it is different than the other horns. The Bible adds more characteristics. Let's look at verses 21 and 22. I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints and prevailed against them, until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High, and the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. Now notice the added characteristics. It makes war with the saints and overcomes them until the judgment, as well as the second coming. So who is this little horn? Notice the little horn is different than the other divisions of Rome, in that it makes war against the saints of God. It is a religious state power. To further add evidence to this, we will look at verses 23 to 26. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be a fourth kingdom upon earth, which shall be diverse from all the kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break it in pieces. And as for the 10 horns, out of this kingdom shall 10 kings arise, and another shall arise after them. And he shall be diverse from the former, and he shall put down 3 kings. And he shall speak words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and he shall think to change the times and the law, and they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and half a time. But the judgment shall be set, and they shall take away his dominion to consume and to destroy it unto the end. Now we see what the pompous words are. The Bible says that it is a world power that speaks against God, and it tries to change times and the law as well as persecute the saints. Now the picture is complete. Let's review. The little horn comes up out of Rome after the 10 divisions of the Roman Empire are formed, which is sometime after 476 AD. It makes war against 3 of the kingdoms and destroys them. It is a powerful kingdom that is different than the others in that it is not just a political power, but it is a religious state power, and it makes war against the saints. It thinks to change times and the law. What is the law? There is only one law a Hebrew would be talking about, and that is the 10 Commandment law. So this power seeks to change the 10 Commandments. Not only that, it rules for a time and times and half a time. What does the word time represent in Bible prophecy? If we look at Daniel chapter 4 and verse 23, we find that it means year. So if we plug in the definition, this equals 3 1/2 years. When we look at the Syriac and Chaldean language used here, it actually denotes a measurement of time, just like you would denote measurements of weight, volume, etc. Because of this, we must break up the year into days. How many days are in a biblical year? 360 days. So if we add up 360 plus 720 plus 180, we get 1260 days. Since in Bible prophecy, a day equals a year, this is 1260 years. So this power is given 1260 years to rule. You will see in some places 1260 days, and in other places you will see time, times, and half a time, but they all refer to the same time block. So who is this power? It is the papacy. It is a system of worship that is against God, and we will see how. Now, does it fulfill the identifying marks that the Bible speaks of? Yeah, let's see how. It comes up from the 10 divisions of the Roman Empire, which became their own nations and had their own kings. When their papacy came to full power, did 3 kingdoms become destroyed? Yes, these kingdoms were the Heruli, the Vandals, and the Ostrogoths. Why did these kingdoms get uprooted by the papacy? Because they believed in Arianism. Arianism is the belief that Jesus is a created being rather than equal and eternal like God their Father. Odoacer, the leader of the Heruli, was the first of the barbarians who reigned over the Romans. He took the throne in Italy. Religiously, he believed in Arianism, which was considered heresy in mainstream Christianity, but he liked the Catholic traditions and so allowed them to continue under his rule. But Zeno, the emperor of the East and under the Pope's influence, wanted to drive Odoacer out of Italy and was waiting for the chance. Theodoric had become king of the Ostrogoths, but was in an impoverished area and was friendly with Zeno. He asked Zeno if there was another place where he could move the Ostrogothic people. Zeno gave permission for Theodoric to drive Odoacer out of Italy, and so Theodoric overcame Odoacer and they eliminated the Herulian kingdom. The problem for the Pope was that Theodoric continued Odoacer's Arian policies, including that the king would elect the Pope. In fact, Theodoric drove Pope John out to Constantinople because Emperor Justin, who was also under the influence of the Pope and support to the papacy in the East, had begun to persecute the Arians in AD 523. Theodoric went so far as to make a counter-decree to persecute the Catholics. This went on for 10 years. Then the new Emperor Justinian decided in AD 533 to make war against the barbarians and declared that the Pope is the head of all churches. Again, under the direction of the Pope, Emperor Justinian eliminated the Vandals and the Ostrogoths, so the Heruli in AD 493. The Vandals in AD 534, and finally the Ostrogoths in 553 were destroyed. Emperor Justinian re-established the Pope to Italy after the wars, and the papacy's power was established in AD 538. So how does the papal power speak great words against the Most High? In the Catholic Encyclopedia, quoting from the Prompta Bibliotheca, which is the Catholic doctrinal book, it states this: "The Pope is of so great dignity and so exalted that he is not a mere man, but as it were God and the vicar of God." Now, what does vicar mean? It means a person who acts in place of another, a substitute. In other words, the Pope claims to be a substitute of God. Now let's continue. The Pope alone is deservedly called by the name Most Holy, because he alone is the Vicar of Christ, who is the fountain and source and fullness of all holiness. Now, notice it says the Pope is the substitute for Christ. Reading on, he is likewise the divine monarch and supreme emperor and King of kings. Hence the Pope is crowned with a triple crown, a king of heaven and of earth, and of the lower regions. Moreover, the superiority and the power of the Roman pontiff by no means pertain only to heavenly things, to earthly things, and to things under the earth, but are even over angels, than whom he is greater. As you can see, the papacy fulfills this characteristic. This system of worship claims that the Pope is in place of God and Christ, and that he, the Pope, is the King of Kings. Can you see how it fulfills the characteristic that it speaks words against the Most High? That is all the time we have. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope that you have enjoyed this nugget of prophecy. Join us again in part 4 as we discover more of the identity of the little horn and more of Daniel chapter 7. If you are enjoying this series so far or have any questions, please comment below. Hope to see you soon.